Access to the Akashic Records is not a privilege, it is a forgotten right. Access to the Akashic Records is not a privilege reserved for mystics or ascended masters. It is your birthright, encoded into the divine architecture of your soul. What you have lost is not the path, but the memory of having ever walked it. Imagine an invisible field that permeates all creation, traversing time and space, a living library that holds the echo of every thought, every emotion, and every intention your soul has ever manifested. This eternal archive is not fantasy. It is known in various traditions by many names. In ancient Egypt, it was the halls of Mat, or the halls of Amenti. In Hebrew mysticism, the Sefer HaKayim, the Book of Life. In Vedic texts, the primordial element from which all emerges. The Gnostics called it the pleroma, the fullness of divine knowing, and the Essenes knew it as the heavenly tablets, records imprinted into the spiritual ether, Yeshua of Nazareth, not the sanitized figure of institutional religion, but the mystic master rooted in the Essene tradition, taught of this spiritual memory. In the Gospel of Thomas, a suppressed text unearthed in the Nag Hammadi library, Yeshua says, "Know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed." He was not merely speaking in riddles. He was pointing to the inner eye, the spiritual senses, and the eternal memory field, the Akashic. But something happened. For centuries, this knowledge was not simply forgotten. It was hunted, burned, buried. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria was no accident of war. It was a surgical strike against humanity's spiritual inheritance. Within its scrolls were Hermetic treatises, Sumerian star maps, and remnants of Atlantean knowledge, much of it pertaining to the soul's ability to access divine memory directly, bypassing priesthoods and empires. What survived was hidden in the mystery schools of Egypt, encoded in the teachings of Thoth, guardian of cosmic records. In Qumran caves, the Essenes protected fragments of scrolls that spoke of otherworldly visions and ascended masters. In the apocryphal Gospel of Mary Magdalene, a text long banned by the Church, Mary speaks of receiving direct vision and divine gnosis, bypassing even Peter's authority. This is no accident. Those who access the Akashic free themselves from external control, and 4 empires built on obedience. That is a threat. But the records were never truly lost. They pulse just beneath the veil of forgetfulness, coded into your very DNA, waiting to be remembered. The vibration of your soul still resonates with that field. The divine spark within you, what the Gnostics called the inner light, holds the key. In this journey, you will rediscover the true origin of the Akashic Records, a vibrational field of universal memory acknowledged by ancient seers, mystics, and forbidden prophets, from the Vedic rishis to the Egyptian initiates of Thoth, from the Merkaba mystics of Hebrew Kabbalah to the esoteric teachings of Yeshua, hidden beneath layers of dogma. This sacred knowledge transcends time. What if everything you've ever done, every thought, every feeling, every breath you've taken, was recorded? Not by man, not by machine, but by the universe itself. I am the narrator. This is the forgotten field. Some call it the Hall of Amenity. Some call it the Book of Life. Some call it the Akashic Records. But most call it fantasy, delusion, myth. Because you were made to forget. You see, the Akashic Records isn't a place or a thing. It's a principle. It's a phenomenon. It's the memory of the soul. Unlike any archive, it holds everything. Every invention you'll ever make. Every conversation you'll ever have. Every choice you'll ever take. Every love, every loss, every tear, every joy, even the memories you forgot you had. All of it is there. But the Akashic is not in the future, nor is it in the past. It is here, now. You can enter it at any moment, anywhere, and come face to face with your true self, your past lives, your potential futures. You can even meet the souls you'll become. That is, if you know how to get there. You see, the Akashic was never hidden. By accident, it was buried, erased, hunted. If the masses could access their own divinity, who would need kings or priests or gurus or saviors? So they burned the books, shut the libraries, broke the scrolls. They made it seem like magic when really it was science. They said it was heresy when really it was history to the Egyptians. It was called the Halls of Amenti. To the Essenes, the eternal Akasha. To the Gnostics, the Pleroma, the fullness of divine knowing in India. It was known as the Akashic Records, the chronicles of the soul. It's been whispered of in every culture, foretold by every seer, accessed by every mystic. It was called the Halls of Amenti, where the thrice great god Thoth kept watch over the winged souls ascending and descending, writing down the deeds of men on emerald tablets. And yet today, outside the halls of academia, it's considered mere mythology. Now, before we go further, I need you to understand something. The Akashic Records aren't some new age. F. John's awakening John had always been different. As a child, he questioned things no one could answer. While his peers chased careers and comforts, he buried himself in ancient texts, not out of escapism, but hunger. A hunger for what was real. In New Orleans, a city layered with mystical echoes, he stumbled upon an untitled book in an antique market. Bound in cracked leather, it was filled with symbols that defied language. It spoke of the halls of memories, a place beyond space-time, and described a field where all was recorded, past, present, and future. Known by the ancients as Akasha, intrigued, John studied the rituals and meditative techniques outlined. In the book, he learned that the ancient Egyptian initiates of Thoth used dream work, breath control, and sacred geometry to access this field. They believed that every soul left behind vibrational signatures, a kind of divine fingerprint, that could be accessed by those who knew the way. As he practiced, something shifted. At first, it came in fragments, symbols in his dreams, voices in languages unknown, yet strangely familiar. Soon, full visions emerged, lives he had not lived, or had he? Temples of old, dialogues with robed figures who knew his name. Skeptics would call it delusion, but John knew it was real. Not imagined memory, but remembered truth. The ancient lineage of the Akashic Field, Milestone 1, Ancient Egypt over 3,000 years before Christ. Initiates in the temples of Thoth were trained to enter the halls of Amenti, not metaphorically, but as real inner journeys into the collective memory. The Book of the Dead, misunderstood as funerary literature, was in fact a guide for soul navigation, a map for accessing the Akashic beyond death and even in life. Milestone 2. Vedic India. In the Rig Veda and later Upanishads, Akasha is the first element, formless, eternal, and all-pervading. It is said to contain the blueprint of all creation. The rishis accessed it through deep tapasya, austerity, sound codes, mantras, and the third eye, called Ajane. This Akasha was the field from which all karma arose and could be resolved. Milestone 3. Library of Alexandria in 48 BCE. The fire that consumed Alexandria did not only destroy papyrus, it erased blueprints of soul liberation. Hermetic texts describing the logos, the divine word that shapes reality through sound and frequency, were silenced. But whispers of this knowledge lived on in the corpus hermeticum, in underground Gnostic sects, in the mystical writings of early Christian mystics, long branded as heretics. Modern science now echoes ancient wisdom. Irvin Laszlo's Akashic field theory in 2004. Laszlo proposed that a quantum information field, the A field, underlies all reality, connecting all events across time and space. This mirrors the esoteric Rupert Sheldrake's morphogenetic fields. His experiments with memory transfer in animals suggest a non-local field that stores learned behavior, a scientific mirror of soul memory. David Bohm's holographic universe bomb, inspired by quantum theory and mysticism, posited that the whole is contained in each part. At this level, time is illusory, all is now. This aligns precisely with the Akashic model. Everything is accessible when you transcend linear perception. The three portals to Akashic access vibrational alignment, just as Yeshua fasted and withdrew. Two desolate places to align his vibration. Seekers must purify dense energies to match the frequency of the Akashic. Practices include sacred breathwork, ruach, sound resonance like toning I.O., the sacred Gnostic triune, and the clearing of karmic entanglements. Expansion of consciousness. The Gospel of Mary describes the soul ascending through realms, past archons into gnosis. This is not metaphor, but instruction. In Egypt, rituals of the Jed pillar raised the inner serpent Kundalini, opening the mind's eye. Modern techniques echo this. Deep meditation, lucid dreaming, and heart-brain coherence. Intuitive interpretation. Akashic insight is not linear. It speaks in symbols, sensations, and sacred geometry. You don't read the records, you feel them. You sense them like a language your soul once spoke fluently. The gift of intuition, long associated with the feminine mystery schools, is the final key. John's initiation. By crossing these three thresholds, John unlocked a direct communion with the field. In a twilight state between worlds, he entered the halls. There were no books, only light. No pages, only living memory. He saw lives, not just his own but collective echoes. He heard voices, not in language but in vibration. One vision stood out. A robed teacher, eyes of fire and compassion, said only, "You are not seeking the records, you are the record." That night, everything changed.